welcome to the OIC, otherwise known as the Omnipresent Information Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Peterson.
And I'm the co-host, Noah Hansen. The Omnipresent Information Connection Podcast is all about your world and your unique walk on this path called life. We present fascinating, life-changing information from around the world that has been validated. We also authenticate the information by providing you with links to where you can find out more about what we are talking about on our show. This podcast includes historically accurate, genuine facts that have helped shape our daily lives into what they are today. This will be a very special episode that's a little more personal to me and Kevin once again, and then after this episode, we'll jump back into some more ancient discoveries and ancient mysteries for you folks. That is a awesome subject of discussion, but today's subject of discussion is almost even more awesome because it's not about worldly facts and worldly discoveries. It's more about something that's a little more personal to each and every one of us in each and every one of our individual personal walks through life. Kevin, tell us what this episode is about.
It is about perseverance.
And what is perseverance?
Thank you for asking. Perseverance is steady persistence in a course of action, especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement of any kind. Theology, it's a continuance in a state of grace to the end, leading to eternal salvation.
Theological definition at the tail end there.
Absolutely.
I think the theological definition can really sort of overlap into the other definitions, though, because it does really lead to your salvation, whether it's salvation from hardship, salvation from difficulty, salvation from not reaching your full potential. Perseverance is key. And the reason that we do this following the authenticity episode, elements of authenticity has a ton to do with perseverance, at least the way I see it.
When you want to persist in anything and continue despite difficulties or obstacles, now, what are the rules of perseverance and success? It's being able to literally do things in a different way, in a new way, and being able to keep it ongoing to a point to where it has natural momentum and force behind it that enables other people to want to, through their own free will, to be able to enable what you're trying to persevere through.
Right. Perseverance really does play a larger role when it comes to not having yet seen the results. That's when perseverance is the most heavy. I think once you start seeing those results manifest, the results that you're looking for, perseverance becomes more, less of a chore and more of a happy hobby, a happy habit, and something that still could be a little difficult, take a little bit of your time. But as far as it being a chore, as far as it being something you have to actually persevere through, it's less of that when you have results right in front of you that you can see, you can be motivated by.
Absolutely.
With perseverance, you have to motivate yourself.
Well, yeah, and this whole word perseverance is to win, conquer, and overcome whatever obstacle, issue, or situation that is coming to you personally.
So in our age gap, I believe that you have more experience with perseverance, but it's been a major element in my life, especially in the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are 7 characteristics of persevering leaders. Definiteness of purpose. Have you stopped and asked yourself why? Desire. You have to really want it. Sometimes we don't want something enough to do the hard work or persevere sufficiently to obtain it. And then you've got self-belief, definiteness of plans, accurate willpower, habit, and those are just the top 7 different things that go along with perseverance. So again, you got definite of purpose, then a desire, self-belief, and then defining plans, accurate, willpower, and habit.
You say accurate willpower. What's the difference between regular willpower and accurate willpower?
Accurate willpower has all 7 elements combined as one to be able to then move that in the right direction. So I could be able to say, well, I'm trying to will into existence a positive outcome, but without putting any perspiring effort into it, it just becomes a nice thought. So you have to have elements involved in perseverance to be able to persevere your way through that obstacle or that issue.
Makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
So, Noah, can you tell me of a situation or a circumstance in your life that perseverance has really played a critical role in your life?
I've never had a personal website. I've never had the credentials I have now. I've never had pretty much anything that can show me to be someone who knows a thing or two until recent years. Up until then, I was just a guy out of high school, pretty much. So perseverance has played such a major role in my life as far as getting credentials, as far as making my website, as far as creating this company and bringing myself to this table with you where I'm doing this podcast. I had to persevere to reach this point. I couldn't just sit up here with no microphone, no equipment, no website, no nothing, and expect to get results out of a podcast with you. It'd just be like pretty much a hobby.
Yeah.
But the difference between the hobby and the career that this was that perseverance factor.
So, in what ways or way did my teaching, training, motivating, directing, and guiding aid you in your perseverance in this whole scenario and situation that we're in today?
The way that you aided me, Kevin, is you allowed me to have a accountability partner that was always there for me, that could shoot me in the right direction and stop me from going down a wrong direction. As far as building this company, you knew a very large amount about how to start your own website because you have your own websites. And as far as what you've done in my life, the amount that you've done in my life is already too much to stay just on one podcast. But to sum it all up, being that accountability partner, showing me when I was lacking in perseverance, and being straight up, being able to tell me the cold hard truth in order to get me back on track is what you have done for me in my life. So I can thank you personally for helping me connect with my own perseverance to do the work and not doing it for me to be able to reach the point where I am at right now. Because if you had done all the work for me, then you would have the certifications that I have. You would have done all those certifications and I wouldn't have gained anything from them. You would have done all those podcasts yourself, and I wouldn't have done anything for them.
And I appreciate your humbleness of character, but just understand that my perseverance starts and ends with God. And I have to be able to give credit where credit is due. I learn through the number one mentor in the world. I learn through other leaders that exemplify the mentor, the coach, the guide, the father, and the best friend figure that I have, which is Jesus Christ.
Hallelujah. And the difference is, though, he's not only the greatest mentor, teacher, companion in the world, but even the universe, for those of you who are a little more spiritually inclined, who believe in these motivators on the other side, the universal teacher, the one that is beyond worldly knowledge and gets into, every area, every aspect of what needs to be changed, what needs to be enhanced, what needs to persevere, and what needs to be let go.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you a story, and it's brief, but I had an acquaintance many, many years ago that was constantly being misguided, misdirected, wrongly focused in all the wrong places, but yet he was smart. He was very intelligent. He was very sincere about what he was wanting to accomplish, but he was literally trying to say this as gently as possible, but an idiot out wandering aimlessly when it came to the world and what to do with the world. It wasn't until many years of having a relationship with him were we able to then be able to come together as a team of friends to be able to persevere through all these different obstacles and issues, to be able to overcome the issues that made him have a life-changing difference in almost in an overnight state.
One major theme that I see going on in many people's lives that I know personally and that I've heard of impersonally is that there is usually a turning point in people's lives. Mm-hmm. And when this major turning point, this major event occurs, or it could be a series of events, mm-hmm. Everyone's different. But when this major event or series of events occurs, you can either hit rock bottom and start going upwards, mm-hmm. or you don't even need to hit rock bottom in every case. You can get that motivation depending on how easily it is for you to connect with your own source of perseverance. You may not even need to reach rock bottom. Me personally, I did hit a version of rock bottom, I would say. I had a major injury that occurred in the summer of 2017 that sort of set me back on a track of motivation and not just freelance wandering, seeing what came to me and hoping for the best.
Right. Now, there's one other category that we're not really talking about, and that's the coasters, the people that are neutral in their character, neutral in the way that they observe life, neutral in their observance of how they do things. And so that they don't have the highs of highs or the lows of lows. They're just so neutrality focused because they have focused so much of their attention on trying to be all things to all people that they're nothing to anybody, including themselves.
That's definitely an issue that is prevalent in this world as we know it today. Especially with the age of information, there is so much out there that people don't want to offend other people. People don't want to take sides anymore. People want to be in the middle ground, and a lot of times people get political, and that strikes wrong notes. No matter who you are, it strikes wrong notes in some way or another with many, many people. I would say the majority of Americans today have gotten offended at politics at one point or another. But here's the issue that we're facing here. How are you supposed to persevere and reach people instead of just being in that neutral, I'm going to let you think that way and I'll stay over here with my own opinions held to myself? How can you express yourself in this world and persevere enough to actually reach people?
And it really becomes simple in a non-complicated manner. Facts are facts. Truth is truth.
That's right.
And so no matter how much empowerment or disempowerment that you have, how much perseverance you have or how little that you have, the truth has a speaking volume that resonates with everyone in a different way, but it's all acceptable when it can be proven, right?
That's right. If you lay down the cold hard facts, there's nothing to argue against. There's just things to maybe do a little research on and get back to someone about. But
yeah, because it is what it is for what it is, right?
Right, and you have to be the one who is responsible for your own resourcefulness.
Now, why is perseverance important? Perseverance is a very important character trait for you to be successful in life. It means determination at working hard regardless of any odds or obstacles that may be against you. It is insistent on you to be firm on getting something done and not giving up. And more importantly, grit. Have you heard the word grit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Grit in psychology is a positive, non-cognitive trait based on individuals' perseverance or effort combined with the passion for a particular long-term goal or end state, powerful motivation to achieve in one's life. Now, the reason why I bring that up, grit, is because most people nowadays don't want to have it. They don't want to be consumed by it. They just want to acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. and grit, perseverance, is very important to be able to have. You got to be able to push through the nonsense information that is being broadcasted out there, get online, do some research so that you can have those, oh, I see moments like what we do in our podcast.
Right. And if you don't trust the online sources, then there's libraries out there, you know.
And on top of that, why can't you be able to call up a friend, a family member, or someone else that may have more information than you?
That's right.
Just to get the answer. We have to be able to humble ourselves and be able to reconnect with our own family and friends and relatives and acquaintances that may know more about a particular issue and utilize them just like we do with the internet.
Right, right. And that's a sort of momentary perseverance of just making that decision, making that choice to reach out. But as far as long-term perseverance, I see that less as a choice and more of a series of choices. Let's put this in the metaphor of an arrow, a bow and arrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the bow, and that arrow is your ability to hit your goals, your ability to manifest your goals, right? And you're shooting at a target. The perseverance comes in when you are pulling back that arrow, when you're making decision after decision to reach the point where you have just enough speed and velocity when you shoot off that arrow towards your goals to be able to hit your target. You know, your perseverance is the whole foundation for where that arrow is going to hit once you finally shoot it.
Right.
And you can't shoot it after too little, you can't shoot it after too much, or the string breaks. And it, you know, you can even injure yourself in that way. So the right amount of perseverance, I think, is important, but not persevering to the point where you are just hating your life. You end up losing your motivation because you got your eyes off that target.
Good analogy is that anyone that's ever played with rubber bands knows that when you play with enough rubber bands, eventually some break, correct?
That's right.
And some don't shoot as far as others, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Perseverance is the same way. You've got a lot of different options and choices on the table for you to be able to pick up and to be able to launch out into the universe to be able to cause a positive effect of accomplishment. But a lot of times where you shoot a rubber band off in a certain direction, wind, current, anything else might blow it into a different direction. And so it's important that when you are persevering, when you're pulling back on a rubber band and just about ready to release it, you need to have the right mental intention of where it's going.
Mm-hmm. You have to have your eyes on the target
at all times, right?
And when you start looking at that arrow and start looking at, if you start looking at how hard it is to pull this rubber band or this arrow back, instead of keeping your eyes on the target, it gets a lot harder to persevere just because you're focused on the wrong thing. You're not focused on the end result. You're not focused on that intention. You're focused on how hard it is in this moment to persevere.
Now, the other thing is the triggers. What triggers you to want to be able to persevere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because whether it be a bow with your fingers launching the arrow or rubber band, your thumb then becomes the trigger, correct?
Yeah, positive triggers.
Right? And so you've got to be able to know what triggers you to want to do it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's some tips for persevering. And the first tip for persevering is clarify your goal. Base it on your purpose, needs, and abilities. Secondly, intend to achieve your goal. Third is maintain optimism that you're going to achieve that goal.
Or that at least it is possible,
Possible to achieve. Four is to be able to live in the present, not in the past, not in the future, but right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you accomplish it right now, this day, this week, this month? Focus in that direction. And then 5 is acknowledge your accomplishments. You need to be able to give yourself a kudos. You need to be able to give yourself that a boy. You need to give yourself, a pat on the back. And then the 6 is try new experiences. if what you're doing isn't working, get creative with it. Instead of getting angry, mad, frustrated, aggravated, whatever that negative emotion is that you can insert in there, find just another avenue. Make it fun. Make it entertaining. And then 7, care for your mind, body, emotions, and spirit. I say this wisely because your mind guides your body, and your body helps with the emotions of expression to be able to then use your spirit, your vessel, to be able to manifest the outcome. So those are really important. And if you need to know more information on that, you can be able to email us or you can be able to call us. Now, 8 is experience yourself living your goal today. So experience actually living it versus just surviving or sustaining through it, right?
That's right. I like that one. I just actually posted something on Facebook today, the day at least that we were recording this. Let me pull this up because it has a lot to do with what you just said. So in this post I said, practice makes perfect. But you have to be your already healed, your already happy, and your already successful self as much as possible and connect with that feeling, align yourself with that energy in order to reach that perfect place, that place of achieving your goals.
Yes, and I love that you're all over Facebook, Instagram, and all over the internet. I'm really thankful that you can be able to post that kind of content. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now it's time to be able to test your perseverance quote, okay? Give yourself one for each yes of the following. I believe in myself. You either do or you don't, right? I have clear goals. I address my limitations. I bounce back from disappointments. I persist. My family and friends support me in my pursuit of my goals. I can adapt to change. I focus and complete projects. My goals are consistent with my purpose and values.
Mm-hmm.
And then last, I can take unpopular stands when I believe I'm right. Now, test your perseverance in those 10 questions to be able to then try to find out what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, so that you can be able to then be resilient and being able to find the outcome.
Mm-hmm. And one major step in perseverance is persevering in positivity, because when you are addressing your limitations, you can be all mopey. Oh, I wish that wall wasn't in my way. I wish that I had a hurdle to get, or a ladder to get over that wall, but I don't. No, just acknowledge your limitations and connect with the ways to move past them. You know, if you don't have a ladder, if you can't walk around that wall, then try a different direction. You know, find your way. If you truly want to accomplish something in life, then you're going to have to persevere through some walls, through some blockage.
Yeah, and like a good mentor from the past had said, perseverance is the key to success. After thousands of efforts to make the electric light bulb, Thomas Edison said, I haven't failed ever. I've identified 10,000 ways that it didn't work. But to be able to proclaim that he has never failed ever, to be able to not have that be an option, to not have that be a choice in his life, allowed him to then to be able to create the light bulb and to be able to put full enlightenment into everything that he did from that day forward.
That is very good. I love that. Love that quote. What are some of your favorite quotes, listeners? If you have some favorite quotes that have to do with perseverance, go ahead and email them to us. Otherwise, we can post them on the forum for you. Otherwise, you can visit the forum yourself at www.inanewway.com and reach out to the OIC forum on the forums page. Post some quotes. We want to hear them. We want to hear what inspires you.
So, Noah, do you know the difference between tenacity and perseverance?
Ooh, that's a fine line. I'm not sure.
Tenacity is when you keep trying something, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work out for you, no matter what you do.
Okay, so that could verge on insanity once you go too far into it.
Yeah, tenacity is when you can keep trying something, but it doesn't work for you to try different approaches to achieving the same goal.
Okay.
Perseverance is the combination of both of them together becoming as one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it seems like tenacity, very loosely defined, would be a little less work being put in and a little more just trying and failing, repetitive cycle.
Yeah, because when you have no sweat equity into your perseverance, you can't perspire, right? And so tenacity is, when someone says, oh, well, you have the tenacity. Being able to do something so half-hearted, right?
Right.
In intention, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, I know. So the value in this is being able to discern your different emotional values so that you can be able to then direct and redirect towards your goals.
Yep. So perseverance, summed all up, is the patience and the hardworking ability to be able to keep your eyes on your target, but at the same time simultaneously look at what you can do to reach your goal in the next moment, in the next day, in the next week. Bringing that all together with patience, with perseverance, to be able to get to the point where your arrow shoots basically without you even having to pull back anymore, and just shoots forward, and it feels like a joyride because all of a sudden all that hard work and perseverance has paid off.
Absolutely. And another word, tenacious, right? The definition of tenacious is someone or something that holds on firmly. An example of tenacious is a person who lives for another 20 years with a terminal disease. An example of tenaciousness is the way a ladybug goes after its garden prey. So no matter how big the element is, from a ladybug all the way up to a full-grown person, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be able to live with intention.
Right, and you have to be focused on what you want.
All the time, right?
Yeah, and that could go into, you could use that with any analogy for any predatory animal, really.
Correct. And the bottom line is that what joy is stress bringing you?
Right. How is that helping you reach your goals? It doesn't. It really doesn't. A small amount of stress can be a sort of knock on your door to get up and do something. But if you hold on to that stress when you're already out the door, then how is that helping you? It's already accomplished its purpose, just to get you up, to get you out that door. So I can actually relate with that tenacity. Was that tenacity?
Mm-hmm.
I can relate with that because the way I connected with my perseverance in my life in a large way was during my injury. And while I was spending months bedridden, it took perseverance to keep a positive mindset throughout all of that. And yes, I faltered sometimes, and I got angry, and I got upset sometimes. But even the nurses in the hospital I was staying at were absolutely amazed that I could have a smile on my face some days because I was bedridden. I couldn't basically do anything myself. I had fractures all over my body.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I was bedridden, and perseverance was huge, not only in physical therapy, but in just getting through every day in a positive way. Still going towards my goals, dreams, and desires, still moving in a direction where I felt I was going in the right direction instead of just being in bed all day,
right,
not doing anything. You know, that was difficult to connect with. But once I did, it really allowed me to connect with a harder working aspect of myself that I'd never connected with before. Once you know you can be a hard worker, bedridden, you can get some stuff done.
Oh, absolutely. You at that point are then left without an option, right?
That's right. I was put in a corner basically where it was either hit rock bottom and mope about it, or, do something about it. Stay positive and just get through that period of recovery.
So remember, listeners, that fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision.
Awesome.
This has been another life-enhancing, authenticated podcast aired by the OIC and brought to you by the faithful OIC sponsors and contributors. Please tune in every week and subscribe to our podcast. And while you're there, explore our website with all the posts, videos, and podcasts that we have created with you in mind. While you're on the journey through our website, you will see our Patreon page where you can become a faithful contributor yourself with the freedom to be a part of our team today. Thank you.